And speaking of Chris, I mean, as obviously, about 2 years or 3 years after he had the sudden demise, and he was actually originally casted for Shrek, which became a Mike Myers role. Um, I mean, watching him and Tommy Boy, I truly felt that it was a big loss. I'm sure you did too, a lot of us, to lose someone of that kind of caliber. Was it a year after it came out, the film, when he passed away, or was it 2 years?
I
Remind
think it
me.
was might have been closer to three because I think it was in '98. I think.
Okay, okay. Were you working something with him again, like considering you had worked in the past, or was your sort of working relationship at a pause after Tommy Boy?
Well,
Or were,
something happened after Tommy Boy. Chris blew up and became very popular and was offered everything. And he started taking things that I didn't think were great. And I definitely wanted to work with him again. And I kind of felt like there was an Uncle Buck kind of story in his future, something that, that was sort of the film in Candy's life that he demonstrated, a dramatic side and a serious side as well as the comedic. And I thought, and Chris was trying to do the Fatty Arbuckle story. And yeah, the writers of Shrek originally told me that they patterned the relationship with the donkey and the ogre after Spade and Farley in Tommy Boy. That's why they went after Chris. And
ah,
yeah, so but yeah, I tried to, but he actually got mad at me because he thought I didn't want to work with him anymore. I said, no, you don't understand. I desperately want to work with you, just not on some of these things, like Beverly Hills Ninja. And he didn't want, he got sort of trapped by the money. And so I ended up writing him like a 7-page letter that I sent to his mother to give to him to really tell him, how much he meant to me and how, besides Tommy Boy, the other times that I worked with him, I said, I don't want that to be the end. Let's just find something great, and so, we never got a chance. We ran out of time.
wow, 7-page letter. That's interesting. I mean, you must have had a really close relationship if to write 7 pages letter. That must be really
Because it,
something.
it meant that much to me. And the fact
Mm.
that I had, unintentionally hurt his feelings, I said I had to, rectify that. And, this was before we had the internet. I couldn't just text him,
Yeah.
so that's what I did.
Did he write back, or did he come back to you and meet with
We
you or
ended
anything?
up talking. He almost we talked on the phone after that. And then around that time, he had fallen back off the wagon. And so things were starting to spiral, around that time. And I think maybe some of his frustration might have been caused also by, whatever he was taking at the time. I don't know if he was had a clear head at that moment.
Do you think, and this is just a speculation, or I wouldn't even say speculation, do you think sometimes, I mean, we know about this, that sometimes fame can do crazy things to people, whether it's meds or whether it's just something else. Do you feel that he was enjoying that fame, or did it get to his negative side of the brain? Or, I mean, you knew him well, so I'm just trying to understand if I'll come back to the film in a second. If that's something you're willing to answer, I would love to hear that.
No, I was fortunate to uh, work with Chris during, I think, his most productive and healthiest
Hmm.
part of his professional life on Tommy Boy because he was clean and sober. But before that, he was not. When I worked with him on the HBO special, I noticed he had a huge scar on his arm. And I said, "Where'd you get that?" And he said, "Oh, I was drunk at a party and I walked through a sliding glass door and he almost bled to death." I thought, "Ooh." And that was the first time I knew that he even had a problem. And then after the Jackie Thomas show, which he guest starred in, Tom Arnold, who was a good friend of his, did an intervention right after, I yelled rap, and he was put in a town car and they took him off to rehab. So then by the time Tommy Boy came around, he was clean, sober. Like I mentioned, he had replaced drugs and alcohol with caffeine, but that was okay, by me.
Yeah.
Um, and then afterwards, I don't exactly know when he stumbled, but I think the amount of fame that had suddenly, that he achieved, yeah, I think it was hard for him to handle, and obviously had certain, literally appetites for things, and I think it just got the better of him, obviously, and it spiraled out of control. And the more I would see him, it looked like the more he had, gained weight and just didn't look healthy, and I knew something was wrong.